So before we get started about the topic, because I know we talk a lot about the intro every time we talk, but I love the music. Just out of curiosity though, can you change it?
We can everything. So I can go get a different free music soundtrack to change it to.
Oh, so this isn't like I'm walking in for my boxing match and I can have whatever I want? Got it.
Yeah.
Because I was
No, it's
thinking a
a
little Eminem, but we're good. Okay.
but then we get into copyright and we get into
Copyright, schmoppyright.
did you pay your royalty on this song? I mean, otherwise you and I could drop some Eminem right now.
Sure, sure. Um,
But yes, it would be nice if we could change the music up, considering I listen to it 5 to 6 times a week.
I know you do. Coming and going. So,
Yeah.
um, So, our first topic today, though, and I'm assuming it's still in my voice. I've just been used to it now for a couple of weeks. Our first topic is working when you're sick and not doing it. And I'm starting right off with don't do it. But, there's a big but. Most of us can't make that decision because there's things we have to do with life, right? You have to work to get paid. For me, it's work to get paid, and I'm in school. And there's these things in your life that are small people that apparently you have to do things with. Um, and I think I just lost Brittany, but hopefully she'll come back in a minute. Um, so last week I was diagnosed with pneumonia, and I am much better now, even though I don't sound much better. I am much better, and the problem though is it took me longer to get better because I couldn't stop. There were things I just had to do, and it comes back to taking care of yourself and knowing what you can put on the back burner and what you can't. And I was very lucky because I do have a couple of clients that the things I do for them can be um, put on the back burner for a couple of days versus things that have to be done every single day. And so I am lucky with that regard. But I know a lot of people have 9 to 5 jobs that they can't give those things up and they can't um, make decisions to just take a few days and have downtime. And I know that you went through this with your knee, that it was hard to have that downtime away from work because you do have a kid, you have rent, you have things. And so I know pneumonia is a little different than your knee problem, but
Well, it's a conversation that I've had all week. There's this when you have kids, when you have work, when you have all these things, they all entwine. And when you work from home or own your own business, this closeness of your kids and your work and your stuff, it's stuck. And it's literally a conversation that we've had all week. When you're sick and everything is here, it's really difficult. And that's why it's important to establish daycare. Even if you're a stay-at-home mom, you should have a daycare once a week or something for mentality, for different things like that. But then when you are sick, you can ask for an extension on that daycare of I'm sick
can I have
because
a couple extra days? Right.
right, because we're not going to get better if we're working through it. We're not going to heal if we're working through it. And when we show up, it's not 100%. You know, we there's a lot of
Sure.
people who have their little ones at home and they're working. And one of the things I was saying was at that moment, your little one thinks you're either picking them or work. That's not the truth, but it's what it looks like. And unfortunately, when that's this, a lot of times there's no self in this lock at all.
Right.
And so creating those establishments of this is the time when this kid gets to do that over there, I can focus on work. When you're sick, you can be like, I'm sick. The kid is over there. I'm going to heal. I'm going to maintain. But when we're so integrated and we don't allow for that space or that breath of air, it's difficult.
It is.
This is
It
the
is.
first time on a live that I've shut off my camera because my kid came in looking miserable.
Oh no.
And so they just got home from school. I needed to manage that, but they're not always here in this space with me, right?
Sure.
Um, but it's the first time I've ever had to do that. Normally my door is shut, my family knows I'm in my office, and then when I leave, there's that separation. But if you don't create that before it happens, what do you do?
Sure. Sure. And it would be great if everyone had the ability to create those spaces where it's completely separated, or you have um, the ability to ask for more daycare days or things like that. But then we have to remember, and this will get to our second topic here in a second, crap happens, right? So you could plan all day long to be on this live at 5:15 on a Thursday or whatever time it is for you, because we're in two different time zones and I'm bad with time. You could plan for all the right reasons, all the right plans, everything. And the teenager still walks into the room,
Yep.
right? Because life happens, crap happens, right? And, I know you don't want to say what it is, but I'm hoping it was fine and that you can solve it whenever we're done off this call. Um, But we have to start thinking that when problems happen, i.e., a teenager walking into the room, or what we were doing before we even got on this call, right? I had a paper attacking me, you had an app problem that was attacking you. We need to stop kind of blaming ourselves for things that happen that we can't control, that we didn't do, right? Now, you could say, you know what, Brittany, you created the app. You should have known the app was not working right. Oh, that's all your fault. That's a stupid mentality to look at it. You were nowhere near a fault in that. It was a glitch in the matrix. It had to be fixed, and now everything's wonderful, right?
Yeah.
I think it's back to that resilience where you have to give yourself breaks before you can expect other people to. And if you keep blaming yourself, or like we've talked about a lot this week, saying you're sorry, right? Blaming yourself, that's a form of it. When you say you're sorry 42 times, you're blaming yourself for a situation. We can't grow. We can't get better. We can't fix the issue with a clear mental state.
It's it's really hard. And it comes into that space of trauma. It comes into that space
Sure.
of working for other people, and being expected to not be a human when you're at work, right? No,
Very true.
you're clocked in. This is your clock in time. And it comes into that. How do we manage separation? A lot of times when you're looking at, like with the app, I am rolling out a brand new website. We have built a community over this past year, and I am that community pays $57 a month to be in the community. So I need their stuff. That app needs to be right. It might only be 3 pages, but it's in 3 pages on that app that is
Purposeful and
purpose,
necessary.
right.
Hmm.
And so when I'm beating myself up, it's because I want to give the value of what's being paid for. And instead of thinking, hey, it's new, right? It's not the forever solution, because we're going to grow, and we want the best for the best. So it's not going to change a million times either,
No,
because we want to be consistent. But it's not my fault, or it's just that app didn't work that way. So let's look at this option, and let's look at these options.
sure.
But when you're stuck here, and you can't separate anything.
Well, and it's almost when you're stuck in blame mode, right? Like
Yep.
you're like, if I don't fix this, it's all my fault and everything's going to fail and no one's going to be able to access anything and the world will end and it'll be worse than anything I can imagine. That's going through your head, right? And you have to just kind of, okay, the app isn't even in everyone's hands yet, right? Um,
We're
let's,
beta testing it.
we're beta testing it, right? So beta testers understand that there's going to be things that may not click right at first. And that's what we did today. We clicked a bunch of things and we found out things weren't working and you fixed it. No
Yeah.
big deal. I mean, you're going through this with somebody you're working on they asked you to beta test their platform, right? And if you don't be honest with them, right, they can't fix it. But it's also, you have to be honest with yourself. It's not your fault that there's issues, just like that company you're working with. It's nobody's fault because they didn't even know what you would want. So you're explaining what you want, and now it's there, or it will be. They're not that quick because you just told them a couple days ago. But
I told them
um,
today.
oh,
I would like that tomorrow, please. Thank you.
right, that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Um,
And that leads into that expectation too, right? If you are somebody and you see somebody sick, or you see somebody is not 100%, or i.e., you have an employee who doesn't, who what you're asking them to do is detrimental to themselves, and you have to let them, okay, let's not do this, let's try this. We should be looking at that, right? What are we putting on other people as well?
yeah,
What space is that person in? Sometimes, if you are so trauma to, I have to accomplish everything, I have to be perfect, I have to get this right, you will not say, I can't do that right now. You won't say, I'm unable to accomplish this. And so when you start pushing deadline, pushing deadline, pushing deadline, or not completing, not completing, not completing, that then becomes the person who's looking at you. And instead of getting aggravated and angry that it's not getting done, look at the situation and say, hey, I notice that these are things that are an issue. And I notice that your mentality around them isn't healthy.
sure.
How can I help you? And let me take this off your plate and put it somewhere else. Where can I manage and move? I think that's something else that we expect people to do everything, or whatever that everything is, right? We expect them to manage and maintain, and we don't help them when they're struggling to even admit the struggle.
And I agree with that. And I think it comes around prioritization. So we can't assume, and I'll give an example. I have one client who literally the sky is falling. Okay. Like, I need you to call me now. The world is ending, whatever. And it's drop of the hat. I need it now. Right. And everything's an emergency. And I don't work well with that person. We're trying, we're getting there. But then I have this other guy who 100% every time he sends an email, it's like, so if you could have this done by today, that would be great. And then the next email is, hey, this isn't a big priority. Just have it done, by next Friday. It's very, he's giving me the priorities versus just sending me things and having me do it.
Yeah.
I'm understanding what's in his head better. And if we can get better when we delegate things or we ask people to do things, if we get better at giving them that prioritization, then they can be accountable for when they get it done in a better way.
Yeah. And with that priority list, here is something that I think not many people actually realize. If you decided it needs to be done within the hour, I guarantee you had a conversation about it last week.
Oh, 100%.
It
100%.
was already in the works. I broke my website. I was given access and I broke it. And I could not tell my web designer, you have to have this fixed today. I literally said, hey, I broke the website. These are things that need to be fixed. And I waited a week and a half for them to get fixed because
Because your website designer, i.e., Kat, is a saint.
exactly.
Okay.
And she is a photographer and she has other clients and she has things.
A life.
However, there are people who would have broken that website and immediately expected to have her jump on it and fix it. And that that's not it's not graceful.
And it's not
It's
fair. I hate to use that
yeah.
word because, right, like I'm going back to like Little League or something, but it's not fair.
Yeah, it's
Simple
not
as that.
fair. And when you're paying somebody, that doesn't make them your slave. That doesn't make you their main priority. Other people are paying them.
Yep.
Even if they're your single employee, they have a family, they have a life, they have a task list that they have set for your job. They have it set that they still have to get these things done daily. Don't push that for them. Right? Allow them the space to, hey, this is broken. It needs to be fixed. I notified the community that it was broken. I told the people who needed to know, and we managed it from that standpoint. But if they're sick, if they're so wound tight, or if we are so wound tight that we cannot get assistance, then you cannot grow. So I
Right.
really want people to look at, if I'm sick, what is my fallback? And Sarah, when I shattered my knee, you stepped up. You stepped up to the plate. New Reality stepped up to the plate. Samantha stepped up to the plate. Everybody stepped up, and I didn't even have you guys as a fallback plan.
But
And you
that's
all did that because it's the community we built.
when you build a community, when you have a group of people that you trust, then you know that those people will be there for you. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a written out plan.
Yeah. When you were
So,
sick, I asked, can I help you with something? There
you
was
know
nothing
what?
I could
And
do.
if I could have had you write my paper, I would have. Trust me.
Exactly. And
I'm
so
waiting for
that's
that grade
that.
to come in. I think I failed it, but we'll see.
I don't think you did. But we're going to wrap up this call.
We are.
I appreciate everybody so much. Sarah, I appreciate everything that you bring to the table. I am so looking forward to this. And I love the fact that this conversation is about giving yourself space, giving yourself that area to, if I'm sick, then I'm sick. And it's okay to stay at home, stay in bed. If you work at home, stay in bed, don't go into the office, and focus on what's important. If your paper has to get done, obviously that's a grade, it's a doctorate. You don't have a choice, but you can minimize what you do so that you can put as much of what 100% looks like into that space. So I appreciate this conversation. Sarah, I appreciate you bringing that into the conversation as well.
No, this was great. And I want to just clarify that it sounds like I'm sick, but I'm not. So I'm not working and being sick at the moment, like I'm trying to tell everybody else not to do. Um, but take care of yourself, take care of those around you. Um, and just remember to, my recommendation of today before we end is the news has a lot of bad things happening in it right now. And I want everyone to take a break from the news every once in a while over the weekend. Just take a break and make sure that your mental capacity can handle what you're going through and everything that's happening. So just going to leave it at that. This was a great call. I appreciate it. Yes, there's somewhere.
That way. Book
Wonderful.
with us. We would love to know how you take care of yourself, how you take care of the people around you. And we are on episode 12.
I believe
Go
so.
view the first 11. Thank you all.
Wonderful.